And welcome to the Free Your Geek podcast. I am your host, Jay Free, and welcome to Fantasy Fable Friday. In the twilight heart of the Starveil Grove, where light and shadow never part, one vow forged a hunter and a legend. You're listening to Starveil, the Oath of Frostwing, a 6-part origin story starring my Daggerheart character, Sylvaris Frostwing. Before the name Sylvaris Frostwing was whispered in legend, he was simply a fairy wanderer of the endless twilight, one voice within the Starveil Grove's living heart. This 6-part origin series follows his transformation from student to hunter, from protector to exile. When a swarm of glass-winged locusts devour his homeland, Sylvaris swears an oath that binds him to the Grove's survival, and to the shadows beyond its borders. What begins as duty becomes destiny, as beauty turns to ruin, and a single vow forges the hunter the Grove will never forget. Welcome to Starveil, the Oath of Frostwing. Episode 1. Beneath the Starveil. Starveil Grove never knew a true sunrise. Its sky shimmered in a pale half-light, where dawn and dusk overlapped forever. Dew gathered on the silver-green leaves, and every droplet caught the glow of unseen constellations. Beneath that soft radiance moved Sylvaris Frostwing, wings folded close against the chill. The air smelled of cedar sap and distant rain, clean, sharp, alive. The forest hummed around him, cicadas clicking in slow rhythm, roots creaking beneath the soil like sleeping giants. Each sound was a lesson. The Grove taught through rhythm and pattern, and today Sylvaris listened with the quiet devotion of a student who feared to miss even a heartbeat of its wisdom. His small lantern pulsed with a foxfire glow, swaying as he stepped through the ferns that brushed against his knees. He was young by fey measure, not yet tempered by the years that carved patience into bone. Still, his mentor, ancient Laraith, the Wayfinder before him, had said he bore the markings of a hunter who could read silence itself. So Sylvaris watched the motes of light drift between the trees, learning their paths as others learned constellations. He counted the pauses between frog song and measured wind against the tilt of branches. To know the Grove was to know its breath, and the Wayfinder's oath demanded nothing less. He paused beside the Mirror Creek, where the current ran so clear that pebbles seemed to float in air. Leaning close, he traced a fingertip through the water. Ripples spread outward, touching moonlit lily pads before vanishing again. Everything returns, the Wraith once told him, until something arrives that shouldn't. A faint tremor shivered through the ground. It was small, barely more than a pulse beneath the moss, but enough to lift the hairs along his neck. He straightened, scanning the canopy. The usual dance of glow moths faltered. Even the chorus of insects thinned, their music breaking like a string drawn too tight. Something clung to the trunk of a nearby birch. At first he thought it a stray leaf, translucent and harmless. Then it moved. Wings made of glass, thin, veined, and shimmering with reflected starlight, unfolded in a fragile hiss. The creature's body gleamed like polished amber, its eyes faceted and pale as frost. It turned toward him with a slow, clicking motion, tasting the air. Sylvaris froze. The grove held its breath with him. The insect twitched once, then launched skyward in a burst of glittering fragments. As it flew, a strange sound followed, an echo like thousands of tiny chimes colliding in the dark. For a heartbeat, the canopy glittered in wonder. Then he saw what it had left behind. Bark stripped clean, sap hardened into dull crystals, the birch gray and lifeless. He pressed his palm to the trunk. The life was gone, leached by something not of this place. Cold spread up his arm, the scent of dust and ash replacing the grove's sweetness. In the distance, thunder murmured, though no storm had yet arrived. The air itself seemed to turn, uneasy beneath unseen wings. Sylvaris crouched, studying the brittle husk clinging to his boot, a fragment of the creature's carapace. It caught the light like glass, edges sharp enough to draw blood. He turned it between his fingers until his reflection bent across its surface. A young face, silver hair, eyes wide not with fear but with recognition. The grove had shown him something out of order, something that did not belong. He slipped the shard into the leather pouch at his belt. The moment he did, the forest noise returned in a rush. Crickets, wind, the faint trill of a night bird. But it sounded different now, wary and thinned. The balance had shifted. He could feel it in the rhythm of the roots, the hush between heartbeats. Far above, clouds gathered where none should form. They glowed faintly, lit from within by flashes of pale blue. One drop of rain fell, then another, cold enough to sting. The lantern in his hand flickered. Through the mist he thought he saw movement, shapes blotting the sky, innumerable and glinting like shards of a mirror. The first locust had come, and behind it, the swarm. He stood beneath the trembling boughs, listening as the grove whispered through the leaves, a warning too ancient for words. The Wayfinder's path had always been one of guidance and balance. Tonight, it would become a line drawn between survival and ruin. And as the twilight darkened, Sylvaris Frostwing lifted his gaze to the shivering heavens, unaware that the vow he would soon make would bind his heart to the hunt forever. I hope you enjoyed this chapter of Starveil, the Oath of Frostwing. Join us next week on Fantasy Fable Friday as the adventure continues here on Free Your Geek. Thank you so much for listening.